Good morning, everyone. So I just had a look at my wine this morning and I noticed some white stuff. I don't know if you can see it there on the sides. It's starting to grow. And on top here, oh, the camera cannot see it. There's definitely some growth there, but I know this is not acetic acid bacteria because I've seen it in many videos where people actually start complaining about like a white film growing on top of their fermentation. And I was actually thinking maybe it's just because the alcohol percentage or something was too low in theirs. So I've noticed that a lot of people actually add like fruit and water, so then they dilute down the natural sugars inside the fruit a lot. So that means your alcohol concentration is not high. And as we know, alcohol is somewhat of a preservative that can hinder the growth of certain organisms. So I initially thought, okay, you know, they're probably sitting with like a 5-6% alcohol concentration, whereas I am sitting with at least 9%. So the risk of that will be probably much lower than theirs. And alas, it's growing on mine as well. So I've seen a lot of people say that you just scoop it off and then you just aerate it more often, because they say aeration is most probably a cause of it. It's not getting enough oxygen. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm also going to check the pH. pH is also a preservative factor, also kills off certain organisms because only certain organisms can grow at certain pH percentages. So this doesn't smell like vinegar yet, so that means it's not acidifying. And what that could be, the pH is still high, allowing the growth of these organisms that we don't actually want. So I'm going to check the pH, and then if it's still relatively high, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add more apple cider vinegar with the mother culture, just to really speeden up the acidification process to hopefully limit the growth of whatever this white stuff is. So I've got a pH meter, digital one. I'll show you how to operate it in another video. So literally what you're just going to do is going to put it on, and then you're going to insert it into your liquid. And it's going to give a reading. So you're just going to give it a couple of seconds to stabilize. Once the reading stabilizes, then that's the actual reading. So this is relatively high. I mean, this is now at 3.88. Wow, that's a very high pH. And that's usually where other microorganisms can grow. I don't know actually why it's that high. Usually wine has a pH of at least like 3.5, 3.6, especially red wine once we bottle and get ready for selling, in order to help with the preservative properties of it. So this is actually a high pH. I don't know why. I didn't measure the pH at the start to see where it actually was before I started this whole vinegar fermentation process. So I'm not sure if it actually increased or if it was high like that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to scrape it off. I'm just going to take a spoon, try and get some of this white stuff off. And then I'm just going to aerate it by pouring it back and forth. Just using another container. So I've just got a metal spoon. But what worries me is I've seen people, once they've got this growth, it tends to stay and they can't really get rid of it completely, and it just starts growing more. So I'm really not hoping that I need to throw away this batch and start from scratch, because that would be quite sad. But if I have to, then I have to. Then I just know I need to aerate a lot more often, because I must be honest, I haven't been aerating as often as I wanted to, as I knew I probably should have. So I've just got a paper towel. Sorry, I just want to, because there's not a lot yet, but I can see it's starting to form. And I've seen this a lot on grain fermentations. And once it's there to stay, I feel like it. So, okay, I'm not really, there's not a thick layer yet. It's literally just starting to form. So I think it's going to be very difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly pour it back and forth. See, there's a lot of sediment there at the bottom. Still no sign of acid. And like I said, the pH is very high. And if this acetic acid bacteria starts fermenting it, you'll definitely see a much lower pH, because the more acid that forms, the lower the pH becomes. And I feel like the pH has increased from what's normal for normal red wine. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some more apple cider vinegar today, and then just add it to here. Because if I can get a mother growing, you know, like that thick mother layer, then I can use that to inoculate all my other batches of red wine vinegar. Then I don't have to worry about mixing apple cider vinegar with red wine. See, there's a lot of foaming happening. Okay, I'm hoping this is fine, and to be honest, I haven't been wiping down my counters with like a sterilizing agent and everything. I haven't been working, I think, very sanitary. So definitely that's one thing that I'm going to do with my next batch. Aerate more, make sure I wipe and sterilize my surfaces, and hopefully we will not have this white stuff growing on top. I'll do some research today on what it actually is, and then I'll give you guys an update.